Hello, my love, and welcome back to the Energy Expansion Podcast. I am so freaking excited to be here with you. And I giggle a little bit when I say that because I think I've started every single episode off in that same way. But it's true. There are a few things that bring me as much joy as being here with you. And as we are here for our 39th episode, it makes my heart so happy knowing that you're loving receiving this information, what's true for me, my favorite teachings, all of the things that you love receiving it as much as I love sharing it with you. So thank you for that. And today is no different. Today, we are going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite things ever. And when I share it with you, it's going to feel like a no duh kind of a moment because this is not necessarily a new topic. In fact, it's woven into everything we do. So let me just get straight to it. Today, we are going to be talking about frequency, energetics, and vibration. I am going to give you 10 really powerful, simple, and practical ways to raise your vibration throughout the day and literally right now. And before we dive in to these really powerful tools and distinctions, I want to set the stage with you for the depth of this conversation because this isn't just about tips and tricks. It's about understanding the role that energetics, frequency, and vibration play in every aspect of your life. What do I mean by that? At the core of everything, literally everything is energy. Everything is energy and energy is everything. There is a quote from the great Albert Einstein, and he says something to that effect. Energy is the inevitable force that is radiating and playing a role in every area of our life. It's what you're made of. It's what I'm made of. And frequency specifically is the rate at which energy vibrates. So when we say raise your frequency, what we're really talking about is raising the quality of the energy that you are, that you're experiencing, that you're radiating and emanating out into the world. It's about elevating the vibration that you're living in and living from. More importantly, it's about becoming an energetic match for what you desire. Your energetic vibration, your frequency is going to determine what you're a match for. And so I want to support you in being a match for the things that you want most. More peace, more joy, more ease, more confidence, more abundance, more money, more dreamy AF soul aligned clients. Because the truth is, you're always attracting something through our thoughts, our emotions, our environment, our actions, our beliefs. And all of that plays a role in our energy and influencing our frequency. When you walk into a room, people can feel you before you even say a word. Think about that for a moment. You've probably experienced that before, either you walking into a room or you noticing someone else walking into a room. What you're experiencing is their energy, their frequency, and that speaks louder than anything else. Can you see why this is so important? Why this matters so much? Your frequency is what has you be a magnet for what you desire. It's literally the signal that you're broadcasting out into the world, out into the universe. It determines what you attract, as we've already touched on, how you feel, how you show up, and most importantly, the results that you experience in every area of your life. Your frequency impacts your mindset, your relationships, your nervous system, your leadership, your bank account, your intuition. Every single conversation you have, it all comes back to energy and frequency. That is why I am so excited to share these 10 really, honestly, super fun, simple, powerful, practical things that you can weave into your daily life. Literally, you're going to be able to do some of these things right now while we're together. And I'm so excited to share this with you because I really truly believe that when you understand this and use this in your favor, it will impact, improve the quality of your life in ways that you never dreamt possible. There are few things more important than what we're talking about today in this conversation. So let's dive in, shall we? This first one is all about tapping into and leveraging the power of water. Water is our literal lifeline. It's so crazy when you go down the rabbit hole of looking at the connections between the human body, the spiritual experience, and the element of water. Water holds information, it holds wisdom, and most importantly, it holds memory. The first time I learned the fact that water holds memory was many, many years ago at a new moon workshop. And we were actually served. I would treat myself. I would go to this new moon workshop. Shout out to Joya Yoga in Livermore, California. If you know, you know, such a magical place. But I would treat myself to this workshop every month as often as I could. I would have so many amazing aha moments and breakthroughs at these new moon workshops. And one of the things that was always included was a kava ceremony. This was also when I learned about kava, and I now have kava in my house on hand at all times. So kava is a root. Roots are grounding. They're going to ground you. They're going to drop you into your body. You're going to go inward. You're going to feel centered. And you can consume kava in different ways, but we were served it in like a half coconut shell kind of a situation, really lovely. And in order to make the kava, it was mixed with water. It was like kava powder with water. And then you could choose a couple different flavors. I would always go like truffle, chocolate. Yes, please. And so I remember she was teaching us about the kava, but then she would have us hold our half coconut shells and she would have us intend, that's what this is called, intend our kava. So we would think about how we wanted to feel, what it is that we were calling in with that particular new moon. So you can use this for manifestation. You can bless your water. You can thank where it came from, the journey that it traveled on. And my friends, oh my goodness, you would then drink. In this case, it was the kava. Today, I did it with my tea, the tea that I made just before I came. You can do this with your 40-ounce Stanleys. I don't own a Stanley for the record, but I know a lot of you listening probably do. I'm a simple modern gal. If you know, little Amazon brand there. But you can literally do this with any beverage, any liquid, because most liquids, the main ingredient is water. You know what else has the main ingredient water? You do, my friend. You do. I do. I once heard, I hope this statistic's correct. We can always fact check me later if you want. Let me know. But we are comprised of 70% water. That is crazy. And so we have this as humans. We are, what did I want to say? We are spiritual beings. I was going to call us human beings, but we're not human beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So as these spiritual beings in this meat suit, I always laugh when people call it a meat suit. When we're in this meat suit called the human body, we are deeply connected to water because it is what we are made of. Right? And so there's so much power in this. But one really simple practice is, I like to call it, the way that I heard this is intending your water, infusing whatever you're drinking with intention. You can also call this activating your water. I don't necessarily love the concept of water being dead or lifeless, although I do think that that can be the case often. But you can have inactive water without intention, without whatever you infuse it with, and literally holding it in your hands like right now If you're listening audio, you obviously can't see me because it's audio, but I'm holding my water with my hands and I am using the power of my hands to infuse the water. I'm using the power of my thoughts. It's so incredible. And there's quite a bit of research that goes into how this works. I'll find some links and pop them in the show notes. But if you've ever seen this, I think nowadays on social media, you can see little things floating around, graphics and reels, that there's scientific research that has been done that when you look at water with a microscope, water is comprised of molecules that when frozen crystallizes. And there's research that goes into water that has been spoken life into, love into, really beautiful things. And then other water that has been spoken not so great things that affirms like really crappy things, even energy of hate. When you freeze those and look at them with a microscope, they literally freeze different. The crystals are different. And that's one of the many things that goes into how powerful water molecules are. So number one is intending your water. Right now, if you're listening and you have water nearby, I want to invite you to place your hand over or place your hand on it. And it can literally be as simple as thinking a word: love, joy, abundance, whatever it is that you want, 100 million, trillion, bajillion dollars. Yes, please. Go ahead and take a sip of that bad boy now. The next thing is a saying that I have lived by for a really long time. And this was probably, I think this stemmed from my corporate career and being in a brick and mortar business where myself and the sales reps that I managed, we were very much the front of the company. I want to say we were the face of the company. So people would walk in to receive a service. I worked at a chain of spas and salons. And so we would always really take pride in how we presented ourselves. And this doesn't have to look, I work from home these days, and so it looks a little different than when I was in a dress code and had to wear certain shoes and had to adhere to certain standards or rules. But I really truly believe the saying that when you look good, you feel good. Can we get on board with that? And all of us, it's going to be something different. I have been, and actually it's ironic that I'm saying this, and this is one of the things that prompted it. I'm wearing makeup, like actual makeup, for the first time in a long time today. And I was getting ready this morning. I was listening to some NLP trainings, getting caught up with the work that I'm doing for the master practitioner certification I'm in. And I didn't mean to go all out with my face, but I was really into the trainings and I just got carried away with what I was doing because I was just sort of lost in thought. And I took a step back and was like, oh my gosh, I really love how I look today. Now, one thing I want to tell you is I genuinely love makeup. For a really long time, I thought that I was going to be a makeup artist. I wanted to be a makeup artist from a really young age. Makeup was my artistic expression. I would spend hours playing with different colors and mixing and matching things. And so it's something that genuinely brings me joy. When I say, when you look good, you feel good, it might mean something completely different to you. It might mean wearing your favorite cozy sweat outfit that you just got. It might look like adorning yourself in a certain way. It might look like taking a little extra care of yourself, the way you moisturize in the morning. And so you get to get really clear about what look good means to you. But I have to add in this extra layer. There's a client of mine, a past client of mine, a dear friend of mine. Her name's Marissa Lonick. And I once heard her say, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. I could not believe that I went decades of my life believing the first part of that statement without having access to the second part. And so again, we're coming back to these frequency boosters, and there's so many little things that you can do to the way that you show up, the way that you dress, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you adorn yourself. We're live right now. The last Monday of the month is when we do our EEA live podcast recordings. And one of our EEA babes is wearing these like amazing glasses right now. And they're a whole vibe. And it's reminding me that I have glasses that I can wear when I work and I haven't worn them in a while. So it's just like these little things that can add an extra layer of oomph to whatever you're doing. Take a minute to think about, what is that for you? because our external reality absolutely influences what is happening internally. Really big, right? When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. And that's what we're here to do. One other thing, this actually talking about the external, I'm going to bop around here, and it goes without saying that I have these 10 things to share with you today, and they're in no particular order. They're all equally important. Speaking of your external reality and the connection that that has to your inner landscape, beyond just the way that we look and the way that we feel and how that impacts our actions, I want to speak to the power of our actual physical environment, like where we're spending time when that correlates to our frequency. Your physical environment, the place that you're spending time, equals your energetic container. So it is important to clear your space in different ways, to notice what's taking up space in your environment. And is that actually something that you desire? There's different ways that we can clear our space. Earlier today, I was on a call and I felt called to grab a candle and a little stick of Palo Santo that says joy on it. I actually haven't done this in a while. They're normally on another side of my office. And within the last couple of days, I've been lighting them every day. And just having the light of the candle and the scent of the Palo Santo really does create a massive shift. And I have to tell you, I've been hesitant to do this because for some reason, I haven't felt it in the last week or so. I've been really sensitive to smoke. Even the cleanest candles, I don't really even light candles anymore these days. Really high-end, clean, essential oils only candles have been bothering my sinuses. And so I've been staying away from it. But my intuition recently, again, in the last week or so, called me to light the Palo Santo and the candle. And I've actually been fine. Isn't that so interesting? How I've intentionally stayed away from it. And then my intuition said, hey, give this a try again. And I've been okay. I don't know what causes that, if that's a hormone thing or something else. But before that, I have different sprays all around me. We're just really doing all these EEA shout outs today because literally at my right hand, I have a smudge spray that was made by and sent to me one of the women who are here with me live right now. And so when I was having a hard time with any kind of cleansing smoke like sage, Palo Santo, I love incense as well. And I haven't been able to light it in a while, but I think I'll be okay now with since I'm okay with the Palo Santo, I would opt for the smudge spray instead. I also have a rose spray and different types of frequency infused sprays as well. And then also sounds. I'm somebody who does really well with having a little bit of background noise. In my human design, my ideal environment is known as markets. And so think about a market. There's hustle and bustle and background and things. And so I will play different types of frequencies or beats in the background. I'll literally go to Spotify and I'll look for focus beats. Even being mindful of lyrics. This is so interesting. Lyrics holds frequency. All right, love, real quick pause because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts that helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. Someone's going to throw something at me in just a second. It might be one of you on our EEA call. Okay. I love country. I know Morgan Wallen is like all the rage. I don't love listening to a lot of Morgan Wallen songs because a lot of the ones that I hear, they are low frequency. They're like not a vibe for me. Although there's one that he has a duo with Post Malone and it's called I Ain't Coming Back. And it's not a very high vibe song, but it's so good. And I listen to it like multiple times a day. And it's like the only Morgan Wallen song that I'll listen to. And my husband and my kids are really into it. But when I hear, and I'm just using, sorry, Morgan Wallen, like not meaning to throw shade at you. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because he's really mainstream. So he's just an example of a lot of mainstream music that like be mindful of the vibration. If I'm going to play music in my home or in my car with my kids, I'm really, really picky about the vibration of the lyrics, the vibration of the instruments. And so this all ties into frequency when it comes to your environment, just things to become hyper mindful of, because if you're not mindful of it, it can impact you in ways that you're not even aware of. You can even take on things that are not yours. One of the energy healers I work with, there's been a few different times where she's like, oh, not only is this not yours, but this is known as a broadcast message. What's a broadcast message? A broadcast message is when you hear, typically it comes from music. It can come from songs you hear on the radio. It will honestly often come from, you know, when you're on your Instagram and there's a reel audio and it will kind of like you'll open up your phone and it's the same reel and it will like kind of keep playing. There's some not so great ones. I've literally had to pay money to clear broadcast messages from my energy field. The first time that happened, not only was I knew what the message was, I remember where I was standing when I heard it. And so a tip is if you're not intentionally using the audio on your phone, not just like my phone is always, does anyone keep their ringtones on anymore? I feel like that's not a thing. I've seen memes float around like back in the day. I come from the generation where we paid money. We actually paid money to have special ringtones. And now we're the generation who will totally freak out if our phone makes any kinds of sounds. So I'm not talking about that. It's one thing to have your ringtone turned off, but your actual, like the volume of the audio on your phone, because you never know when you open up one of those apps, what might pop up. So this all has to do with our actual physical environment. Your physical environment is your energetic container. Please, 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 for the love of everything, be really mindful and intentional with what you're welcoming into your space. And I want to invite you, if you don't already use fun cleansing things such as lighting Palo Santo or sage or smudge sprays and incense, that can be a really beautiful way. Even, you know, I love smell, but the candles, which used to be my favorite, haven't worked for me for years. I have a diffuser going most of the day. That's another thing that I love as well. Okay. The next thing I want to share with you, I want to have you consider this. I'm recording this at a really interesting time, a really cool time when this podcast episode goes live. It is going to be a Wednesday because we always drop on a Wednesday, but it's going to be October 1st. So it's going to be the start of a brand new month and the last quarter, the last stretch of 2025. And so if you're anything like me, you might have spent the last couple of days thinking about, what do I want to take into the month of October? What do I want to leave behind? What do I want to be celebrating? How do I want to feel in this last stretch of the year? And one thing that I have been feeling the nudge to do is to turn off any extra noise. You might remember this, but in January, I did a financial fast. I participated in a group financial fast. And for me, what I gave up for the fast was essentially, I called it Netflix, but it was really like any and all streaming services. That's really, honestly, it's my guilty pleasure. I love, oh my gosh, The Real Housewives of the OC. If I give that up, that means I can't watch it this Friday and it comes out every Friday. We'll figure it out. I think I can give it up. But like Real Housewives of the OC or different series that I'll get into, I'm kind of a true crime junkie. That is so bad for our energetic frequency. It's not a match. It's not a match, fam. And so I felt really good when I turned off all streaming services for 28 days. I've sort of ramped back up. I've really let that back into my world, and no judgment on me. I want to pause here and say, I'm not judging you either. You know, if you're a big Morgan Wallen fan, I love that for you. If there's certain things that you have in your space and they're your favorite, and I'm saying like, don't do that. I'm not knocking you. I'm not judging you. To each their own. If you don't want to give up true crime, I understand why. It's not an easy thing to give up if that's your jam, like it is mine. But I've been in this space where I actually really, 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 truly feel like God is calling me to do that again. I think we're on number 4 now. I want to call this a frequency fast. I really want to encourage you for you, maybe it's something similar like it is for me, like giving up streaming, watching, listening to certain things. But for you, it might actually be something else. Like as I'm speaking to you right now, this one, number 4, a frequency fast, feels like it's taking on a life of its own, in that I want you to think about, is there anything that you're currently allowing in your space, your physical environment, aka your energetic container? Is there anything you're actually consuming, allowing into your physical vessel that right now in this moment, you're like, yeah, I don't think that that's doing wonders for my frequency? You can take on a frequency fast of any kind. When I first wrote this down, I was thinking about cutting out the extra noise, which that's what it looked like for me earlier this year. That's what I'm going to have it look like for me as I head into October. And you might want to join me in that specific fast of extra noise that doesn't feel supportive, that isn't elevating you to the state that you want to be experiencing. Or it might be something completely different. It might have to do with food. It might have to do with certain relationships or conversations, anywhere where you might be placing your focus or your attention, or your energy. So just take a moment to think about that. The power of a frequency fast. Number 5. I'm so curious how many of you have been feeling called to move your body in a way that you aren't used to. So this one's sort of a given. This is one of those ones where you're like, okay, I know, Dani, but it's worth speaking into because there are fewer things that are more powerful for raising our frequency than moving our body. That's really got to be, this is number 5. Again, this is why I said, don't pay attention to the order of this, because all of these hold so much power, and we could fight that like this actually deserves to be at number 1, but we don't have to do that because we already said that they're all powerful. They're all important. And so far they're all really simple and they don't cost a dime. That's what I love about these frequency upgrades, things that are going to help raise our frequency. But movement is so powerful, and not just any kind of movement, but movement that brings you joy. So taking a moment to think about, how is your body wanting to move? Not your mind. Because if your mind is anything like mine, it's going to say, don't move, stay there, lay down, sit down. And your body is like, but please take me outside. Take me outside, move me in a fun way. And so where I'm going with this, for me, I've been feeling called to, why do I feel silly saying this? It's not silly. It's important and it's powerful. I've been feeling called to dance more. We have a really wide open living room, and I will close my eyes and I will visualize myself just dancing around like a wild woman with no one watching, only when the people are not here, dancing around like a wild woman, just taking up all of the space that I could possibly take up in my living room, which is honestly a lot of space. It would be a challenge. It's a challenge I'm up for, to actually use my body in the entirety of that massive sprawling room. And I had a really great reminder of this last week. I work with an energy healer, and I was sharing with her some of my goals for between now and the end of the year, which is how long we're currently working together, our current package. And when I was sharing this with her, we had a session last week, and she was like, I want to give you a heads up. Today, I'm going to have you move your body. And I was like, okay. And then she told me before we met, she gave me a heads up in our voice noting app. She goes, I'm going to have you dance for 35 minutes. What? I remember being like, no, I'll dance for 2 minutes. Don't make me dance for 35 minutes. What the heck? And she even said, like, I just want to give you a heads up. If you're not up for it, you don't have to do it. But you guys, I'm paying this woman to help me, and she feels like this is going to help me. So I was like, listen, I'm experiencing some resistance. I don't love this, but I think the resistance and me not loving it means I actually need to do it. Right? There's a word for somebody in what I just said right there, because I know there's a word in there for me too. So it's interesting because these sessions are not cheap. I invest a lot of money in these sessions. So I essentially paid quite a bit of money to dance around for 35 minutes to a curated playlist with very specific prompts. That is on the extreme end of what we're talking about here with this one, moving your body. But sometimes I think it can be helpful to receive things in extremes. I'm not saying you need to do that. I'm not even saying I need to do that ever again for as long as I live. But what I am alluding to is I felt absolutely amazing when I was done with that. And it was such a good reminder. I feel like God, universe, spirit has been dropping in my mind, in my energy field, dance, dance, dance. And I have a background in dance. I grew up dancing. I danced competitively for a long time. So it's not about taking a dance class per se, but what I do know is it's a way that my body loves to move. All of that being said, I really want to invite you to look at what ways can you not only move your body, but move your body in ways that feel nourishing, in ways that bring you joy, in ways that will allow you to express yourself that maybe you're not able to on a regular basis, okay? The next one, speak to God, universe, spirit. Around here, we like to call that Gus, God, universe, spirit. Speak to Gus, speak to your angels, have conversations, be in communion with whatever your higher power is. Earlier today, inside of Energy Expansion Academy, I was talking about a season of life where I was really going through it. We all have lots of those seasons we can reflect on, right? This was probably 2 years ago. And I remember asking God for a specific sign, talking to God like God was my bestie, was like, hey, I'm really going through it. And I didn't even want anything per se. I wasn't like, you have to change this. I can't do this. I can't handle this. But I was like, I just need a sign that everything's going to be okay. That's what I need. Like, you don't have to make it okay right now. And so I asked God for a very specific sign in the form of, I believe they're called sundogs. I call them prisms, but it's when light hits glass just right, and then it creates the beautiful optical illusion of a rainbow, right? Like on your wall or on the ground or wherever it might be. And I kid you not, I started seeing those little optical rainbows every day, multiple times a day. And they would almost bring me to tears in the best possible way. What they were doing was they were elevating my frequency. I had asked God to show me something, and then I saw more of it than I could ever possibly imagine. And what that did was it elevated my spirit. It elevated my faith. It elevated my thoughts, right? The thoughts that, how long is this going to last? Am I on my own? Does God even hear me? There was something so powerful about that. And I think it's really important that you remember we're not meant to do this whole human experience alone. That God, universe, spirit, your guides, your angels, whatever you believe in, wants to have a relationship with you, wants you to commune, to converse, wants you to ask for support, right? So that feels really, really big. Let's see. The next one is shift the script. You don't necessarily need to overhaul your entire belief system, but if you can get really, really mindful of the thoughts you're thinking and you're able to grab the not so great thoughts and shift them, that's where shift the script comes in. You can upgrade them. You can choose something new. that practice will literally change your life. And we talk about this all of the time because this has to do with energetics. This has to do with mindset. This has to do with somatics. Why? Because what's happening in our mind is impacting what's happening in our physical body and our emotional body and vice versa. There's this like constant correlation that's happening between all of those parts of us. And so it's really helpful if we can start to see the narratives that are at play. What are the things that you tell yourself most frequently? What I mean by that is there's often thoughts, stories, beliefs that are on a repeating loop in our mind. And some of those are going to be really helpful and empowering. Some of those, maybe not so much, right? I want to be completely honest with you. I feel like one pattern is there's something about this that gives me the ick, not for you, but for me. And there's when something gives you the ick about yourself, there's an opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity for growth. But I have this unconscious habit of slipping into victim. And it happens without me even realizing it. Like when I was solo parenting for the last couple of days, I felt victimized by my children more than once. Why me? Why are they doing this? Da, 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 da. And when my husband came home and I wanted to take a minute for myself, and he goes, "But babe, I want to spend time with you." That actually made me really mad because I wanted him to want me to have a break. But like, do you see how silly that is? Do you see how silly it is to feel victimized by a toddler who won't stop crying because he wants something that he can't have? Why it feels so backwards to feel victimized when your husband says, "Please don't go do that thing for yourself because I want to be with you." Sir, I know you want to be with me, but I want to be with me too. And I haven't been with myself in a few days while you've been gone. These guys, I'm literally sharing examples that have happened in the last like 72 hours. And so that is a version of me slipping into all of the ways that I'm being victimized. Not actually very helpful. Valid? Yeah, okay. I can have some compassion for myself, but being stuck in the why me? Why is this happening? This isn't fair. Let's give that an inch worth of time in our psyche, and then let's choose something else, right? So for me, it's slipping into victim. It's slipping into martyrdom. What's martyrdom? It's putting everyone and everything before myself and then feeling completely burnout and resentful that I feel burnout and resentful. And then it's just a downward spiral. I'm sharing examples, one, that are very real for me, things that I catch myself in, and then thank the Lord for these tools, because the minute I spot them, we're not going down that road. Dani, we're not playing that game. We're not available for that. I don't do it on purpose. It happens naturally. And then it takes my conscious effort to say, we're now choosing something new. That's this idea of shifting the script. So incredibly powerful. I want to be mindful of time. So we're going to roll into these last three pretty quickly. And again, these are a few of those like no-brainer ones, but maybe you needed that reminder. Babe, get outside. Go outside for the love of everything. Get some sunshine. If the sun is shining where you live, put your feet in the soil, on the grass, wherever you need to. This is a reminder for me. Once my day gets started and I'm inside and I'm working, chances of me making it out there before I got to go to pick up my kids from school by default decrease exponentially. And so there's something so powerful, something so magical and healing. And there's so much scientific research to back how important sunshine is, fresh air, connecting to the natural rhythms of Mother Earth, Mother Nature. I heard something recently and it was so interesting. I'd never thought about this. I'd never had this conscious awareness, but I have a feeling, especially if you're listening to this podcast, I would be shocked if you've never been guided through some sort of visualization or meditation, right? If you're in my space, you've probably been guided through those many, many times. And I know that I have too. And a lot of times you'll be guided to visualize a place where you find joy, a place where you feel calm, your happy place. And I realized 99% of those things for me are outside. They're out in nature. Very rarely am I inside of my house or am I standing on the street of a busy city, right? And so I thought it was so interesting that often when we're asked to go to a place that brings us joy, to go to a place that has us feel our best, 9 out of 10 times, that's going to be somewhere outside, somewhere out in nature. That's how powerful our connection to nature is. The next one is do something for pure joy and delight. And that has nothing to do with productivity. If you want to raise your frequency, let yourself drop the need to accomplish the things or be productive just for an hour. Even if you're in a really busy season, especially if you're in a busy season where there's a lot of doing and a lot of creation and a lot of needing to make things happen. And maybe you're producing something personally or professionally, like producing something is creating something new, putting something into the world that's never existed. Giving yourself permission to do something just for pure joy, for delight, just because it makes you happy is going to do wonders for your inspiration, for your creativity, and again, for your frequency, which is what this entire conversation's about. The last one, these are all so good. They're all my favorite. But I've been using this one more and more. I feel like this is one that I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back that I feel like I've trained myself to do really, really well. And this is all about giving people their flowers. I love this sentiment. I don't know like where this came from. I've heard it more and more, but the idea of giving people their flowers is tell the people you love, tell the people that you appreciate that you love them and appreciate them, and specifically why. And this could be people in your family, but this can also be strangers. This can be somebody who you had a really beautiful interaction with. My husband, when he was getting ready to leave for his fishing trip, I sent him a little text message about how much we'd miss him and why we miss him and how grateful I am. And I didn't do that. This sounds so funny. I was going to say, I didn't do that just for him. I did that because it felt really good for me to share that love and to share those words. There is so much power in that. And I think it's powerful because you're not only shifting your frequency, but you're giving that to someone else. And so I want you to take a moment right now. There's a couple invitations on this particular podcast episode, different things that I'm inviting you into, and I might have lost track of them. The big one, there's invitations within every single thing that we shared here. The big one is the frequency fast. I'm taking that on for the month of October. You might desire to do that. The other big invitation, aside from how you can incorporate and integrate all of these very practically into your life right now, is to think about someone who you love, who you admire, someone in this moment you appreciate. Again, it could be your children, a parent, significant other, a sibling. It could also just be a friend who went out of their way to do something really nice for you, really meaningful for you. Maybe they didn't do a damn thing for you, but you just freaking love them so much. And who they are in the world just makes such a difference for you, right? Can we tell the person that? It was so funny. The kids and I, this is like a left turn here. I try not to engage in fast food often, but my kids really like it. And so we'll do 1 or 2 eating out journeys a week. Okay. So now you know how often I take my kids through the drive-thru. I have not partaken in this in a while, which I'm very proud of, but they love a cheeseburger. And if we don't have time to barbecue, I'll get them a cheeseburger. So we were at Jack in the Box last Friday, and the woman, I don't think that there's any correlation. I think it's a karma thing. I don't think it was intentional. The woman who opened the window to accept our money and give us our food was so beautiful. Otherworldly beautiful. Her eyes were the lightest blue I've ever seen, and she had dark hair and tan skin. And my daughter even said, "Mom, I really like how her makeup is done." You guys, I'm such a weirdo. As she opens the door to hand me my credit card back, and I was like, "You're really beautiful." And she was like, "Thank you." And I felt so awkward, but I was like, I'm just gonna let that be. It was a nice compliment. And I'm not even going to turn to my kids to ask them if I was really awkward, because I'm pretty sure I was. But you better believe that when we were driving away, how many of you, if you go through the drive-thru, count your food to make sure all your food's there? Because there's been too many times where we've ordered something and we've gotten home and we're missing food. And that's a bummer. So we're counting our things. there was an extra order of French fries. And I was like, see, guys, it totally pays to be nice and to give people their flowers, to tell them the things that you think that are on your heart, especially when those things are wonderful, beautiful things. Maybe in my case, even a little bit awkward. So there's that. So number 10 is give people their flowers. I really want to encourage you to share something lovely today. It might be really deep and heartfelt. It might also be something really small, like shouting "you're beautiful" at a stranger. So that's it. Those are our 10 frequency boosting practical things that you can weave in to your life day in and day out. I'm giggling over here. My cheeks hurt from smiling from recording this episode with you. And these 10 things are really small. They're easy. They're simple. Again, I really wanted to give you practical things that you could sit with, that you could literally like pause this episode and go do some of these right now. And what I need you to know is this is not by any means an exhaustive list. There are a limitless number of things that you can do that will support you in raising your vibration, raising your frequency, and feeling really, really good, which is really what this is all about. Because when we feel good, we do good. So I love you so much. I cannot wait to hear from you after you have a chance to listen to this episode. As always, I really enjoy when you reach out to me, when you let me know what your favorite tip was, if there was an aha moment, if this inspired something within you, if there's anyone you can think of who could use a little boost in frequency. And I'm sorry, fam, these days, I feel like we could all use it. Please feel free to share this episode with your people. And until next week, I love you so much.